Today we're talking about the dramatic life shift of changing prepositions. Recently, God has really been revealing to my wife and I some deep roots that we didn't really even know were there, and we didn't comprehend how far they even went. And it's been weird because the roots really are all about the word from. What do I mean by that? Well, we realize that part of what we've been struggling with is that we have been running from things, and we have an idea of what we don't want and who we don't want to be. And we've been running from those things rather than in a direction. And that has really been, like, quite honestly, flipping everything upside down. We don't know what we do want, but we just know what we want to avoid. And so we've been running from everything. But God is calling us to start dreaming again and to start running to something. And God's changing our from into a to. And the picture that I have in my head from this is this idea that if somebody was chasing you and you were facing them and running backwards as fast as you could only go so fast. You can only run so fast backwards. And you can't really see what's coming up next to you because it's to your back, and you could trip over stuff very easily. It's very difficult to escape someone chasing you if you're running backwards while facing them. But if you turned around and you started heading towards safety, or you headed towards a goal, the difference in the speed and the focus is huge. So God is calling us to change our from into a to. What are you running from? Changing it to what are you running to? What are my eyes on? What is it that I'm focused on? Just like Jesus calling Peter out onto the water, and Peter gets out there, and then he stops looking at Jesus and he starts looking at the storm around him, and he starts getting overwhelmed by it. What am I focused on? What am I looking at? Running from is a very reactive standpoint. It's slow. It's things are happening to me, and I am slow about reacting to them, versus a to is an active step forward. It's moving forward and driving forward purposefully rather than reactively. Changing your mindset to a to mindset. That's been cropping up a lot as my wife and I have been having discussions. We've been talking about things. One of us will say something, and then the other one will be like, that really is a from statement. That is a statement saying from what I don't want to be, rather than dreaming and having an idea of where I'm going to. It's a total mindset shift from to. Going to is an active, and I think a more authentic walk. You see where you're headed, and you plan out where you want to go, and you're purposeful about where that is, rather than the options being anywhere but here. That is unfocused. It is not powerful. It's a very it's nothing. It's just not here. And that isn't much at all, because there's a lot of other options that are probably a lot worse than here. So anything from here isn't a good option. We need to decide who we are and start heading in that direction. Heading to something is is absolutely being powerful. It's being active. It's using your free will to choose the course of your life, is to captain that ship, and rather than letting the storm move your ship or knock you around or letting other people take the helm, being active and going to is a huge difference of you owning where you're headed. We have to move to something. We have to be headed in a direction. We need to pick a path, or you'll end up anywhere. And that's not us being powerful. That's not us taking control of our destinies and using the free will that God gave us to chart a path and then to follow that course. Maybe at some point the course needs to change. Maybe that isn't what you thought it was. Maybe it's different than what you thought it was going to be. And that's okay. Like, let's change course, but let's just be intentional about that. The challenge that God has had for my wife and I is are we ready to dream? Are we ready to start having dreams? Because we have made poor decisions in our life, and we have allowed other people to have input in our life that has dictated whether or not we get to dream. And even though I'm a big dreamer, I really am. I dream a lot. I think about the future and I dream about all the cool things. But oftentimes for me, it's a dream that I don't have any intention of seizing. It's a dream that I hope comes true through a magic genie or a wishing well or something, but I don't actually chart a path to get there. And that's the difference. So whereas my wife has felt like she doesn't have a good that she doesn't have permission to dream, I dream a lot, but I don't feel worthy of pursuing that dream. And God's telling us both, no, it's time to dream, it's time to set a course and to run to something, so that every decision we make is going to that purpose, that destiny. It's an intentionality, because you are getting away from something, but the heart is totally different, as it's aimed to something. It's a positive, not just a negative. It's not just a get away from, it's a head towards, and that changes the entire just charge of it. It's now a positive rather than a negative, and it's so cool. It's so cool. This is the thing that's happening in our life, like right at this very instant. So I'm extending that to you right now. What have you started to dream about? Have you given yourself permission to dream? Have you decided that you should dream, that you're worth having dreams? Have you aimed at something? Have you forgotten about dreams that maybe you had a long time ago? What is something that beats in your heart? What's a direction that you want to go, that you know this is the thing? It's that someday I'll get to that. Someday I'll do that. Someday I'll go there. What's your someday? What's that dream that you've had in your heart that might be a little bit crazy, that might be kind of absurd? What is that one dream? And what is it that God is prompting and putting on your heart? What's that thing that God has just been putting on your heart and calling you towards, that you've thought, that can't be it. That's not my destiny. That can't be the thing that I'm going for. That can't be the dream of my life. That can't be for me because of X and Y. And let's push all of that aside for a minute. And let's just think about, let's meditate on, let's be quiet. What are the dreams of your heart that you want to head towards? What is the course that you want to set to who you want to be someday, where you want to be someday? What does that look like? Let's take a shot at stepping out and dreaming a little bit and then letting God ignite that little spark, because I believe that those dreams don't die in us, and that there's a little spark inside of you that just needs to be fanned a little bit, and till it comes a raging fire again, and we're ready to go for where we're headed to. Let's change your from into a to. And when you anchor that to Jesus, it isn't just dreaming, it's a Holy Spirit powered calling. When you can take that dream and you anchor it into Jesus, and you know that he's calling you into that, it changes everything, because now you have purpose. Now you have a dream that's turned into something deeper, a purpose and a calling. And that is huge. I see so many people, and I have been this people, that when you don't have purpose, life feels just like a wandering into ocean, and like there's no heading, and you're just lost, and it sucks. I'm a big purpose guy. I really like my purpose, and I want there to be purpose. And if you want purpose too, then let's dig into finding those dreams, and in that relationship with Jesus, let him help us sort those dreams and say, this is the right to, so that we can figure out how we're going to get there. This is everything that we are going through right now. This is the thing that on a daily basis right now, we are hashing out and talking through and challenging each other, my wife and I, on what are we headed to. And I'm excited for what this looks like, and it's really awesome, and I really hope that you would join us on this journey, and that you give yourself permission to dream, anchor that into Jesus, build out that relationship with him on what direction you're headed, and see that dream become a purpose and help drive you and give you just like rocket boosters to be heading a course in your life that's worth it. That is my dream and my prayer for me and my wife, and also for you. So thank you for hanging out with me today on this crazy whirlwind journey of stuff. Don't ever forget that you are not alone, and welcome to the Martyr Life.